So, hello everyone, welcome to Breakout Room 1, which is in theory about creating work in direct response to the COVID crisis. So we have 5 people who are hopefully joining us on the panel. We have Diane Thornton from Tenterhooks. We have Alex Rigg from Ocean All Over. We have Emma from Swallow the Sea. We possibly have Angus eventually. And we have Luke Guerin, who has made it here. So the first 3 will have presentations. So if we can start with Diane Thornton from Tenterhooks.
Thank you, Martin. Oh, now my face is big. I should quickly skip to gallery view. There we go. Lovely. Hello, everyone from the wilds of Argyll. I will trust Martin to give me a wave if internet bandwidth does what it does in the country and start to lose it. I just want to speak to you for a couple of minutes from Tenterhooks. We describe ourselves as an emerging organisation run by fully emerged theatre artists. Our core team are 2 theatre clowns and therapeutic clowns. That's myself and Susie Ferguson, who's lurking away in another breakout room just now, and visual artist and maker Fergus Dunnett, who you might know and who's also around in another room. Our work creates opportunities for audiences to play together, to play with the performers and to affect the narrative of the performances. And we want to develop our work post-COVID that continues to do those 3 things. So I wanted to speak to you briefly about Galapagos, which is a new outdoor performance that we hope to develop next year. It's based on a true story, but entirely made up. It explores the tragic history of the delicious Galapagos giant tortoises, which were eaten to the brink of extinction by European explorers, including Darwin. It's a show for families. It's set on the deck of a ship, and the audience is cast as the ship's crew. The ship is on the way back from the Galapagos Islands. The last giant tortoise is lost somewhere on board, and it's being looked for by the hungry captain and the cook. The audience will work against the captain to save the giant tortoise. How they go about this and what happens next will be different depending on their choices and on the audience's behaviour, both pre-show and throughout. To be honest, Galapagos has been an idea for Tenterhooks for a couple of years now, but it feels really relevant that we're pursuing funding to take this forward now. As a show, its themes are delayed gratification, being allies for those who are at the centre of a struggle, and understanding how actions on one side of the world affects lives on the other. Our vision has always been for it to be a nimble show that can adapt to a variety of outdoor as well as indoor spaces. Interactivity is so important to the work that we make, and so we really want to take this forward as a playable production where audiences truly are co-creators of the work and that they actively influence the narrative through their reactions and choices. We're going to investigate ways to do that pre-show, in person, and also online and possibly via an app, and accessible ways to do that in performance, obviously being mindful that physical proximity just might not be an option for us anymore. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Diane. And if we can now move on to Alex Rigg.
Still says I'm here. Hooray.
Yes.
So hello everybody. Speaking from southwest Scotland in the middle of nowhere with an equally dodgy internet connection. So the kids have been banned from using anything electronic so that I don't turn into a Lego person. I'm not entirely sure really what to talk about. I operate as an independent artist and also try to maintain Ocean All Over as a company. The COVID thing has been very curious for me personally and for the company because of the timing, because I live in a farmhouse quite away from 4 miles from the nearest village, and the nearest village is quite small. So I'm very much in a bubble. So I have managed to make a series of pieces of work. My partner is a singer, and she's based some of the time in South London. So we've been collaborating via the internet to make a number of studio recordings at my house in this room, in fact, for release on albums. Some of them have gone out on the radio, actually, national radio, of her singing, and then a joint project involving dubstep and other music producers from Croydon and Bristol. So we have, and I also have made a piece of album artwork for a new release by Pinch, who's a dubstep producer. And as a company, we hit the COVID thing and the funding thing badly in that I'm living on universal credit, as many other people are right now. And so all the people that we're working with are in a similar position. We have a small amount of development money left and relying on basically the internal resources of the artists, myself and all the artists that we're working with, to survive what is a very difficult time emotionally. So quite a lot of the music producers and music related people that we work with and are working with have a massive festival season that they don't have, and so a number of people have just disappeared, stopped making work. So part of our role has been encouraging people that it's okay to make work, that having creative conversations is a good way of surviving something very difficult. We have made a film which is going out tonight as part of Surge Festival, which demonstrates some of these collaborations, including just last week we managed to do some filming in Glasgow with a small number of Ocean All Over collaborators. I mean, Ocean All Over is basically a collective of independent performers. It's not, we don't have any kind of regular funding, but we're hopping from rock to rock. So overall very positive in that art is a fantastic therapy for anybody of any age, at any stage in their lives, from anywhere. So everybody should be doing it. It's the long discussions with anybody, organizations and festivals and individuals about how we're going to show the work publicly are very difficult, as I'm sure you're all aware. And last weekend we were filming under a railway bridge in Glasgow, and a workman came down to watch, making it clear that they weren't offended by what we were doing, which is another aspect. Some of a little film that took place in Croydon, constantly stopping I didn't make the film, it was done by the person who was speaking, constantly stopping to make room for people to walk past so you weren't too close. And so I'm not advertising the company. We can watch tonight and see what you think about that. I'm just flagging the issues between for us as individual people, whether we're managing companies or whether we're solo artists, that the biggest single achievement of an artist at the end of their life is to have persisted as an artist, because it's an incredibly difficult thing to do anyway. And at this time, persistence seems to be key. That's all. And I could talk more, but I think probably we've got lots of other people waiting to say stuff. So
great, thank you very much, Alex. And I think our final presentation is from Emma from Swallow the Sea. Take it away.
Hello. So I'm 1/3 of Swallow the Sea Caravan Theatre, and I'm based in Edinburgh. The other two are in East Lothian with dodgy internet connections, so hopefully this will go fine. So we're quite a new company. We set up about 4 years ago, started sharing work with the public 3 years ago. And we create small scale theatre shows that are puppetry based or installation, physical theatre. For the most part, our work has taken place as short form inside of the caravan. with small audience groups of up to 8 at a time, and running times about 15 minutes to 20 minutes per show. So ordinarily what we've done is either been hosted by a venue and parked in their premises somewhere, or we've rocked up on our own and done it by donation. And then we usually do quite long durations. So we could be in situ for like 8 hours and just doing that on loop, which is quite crazy making, but enjoyable. And then have breaks in between. Last year we got a bit of funding to make a show where the caravan was our stage and the audience was outside. So when we initially refitted the caravan, which was 4 years ago now, we gutted all of the insides and pulled out of all of its sort of internal structure and had to put back in a frame so it wouldn't collapse when it was on the road. But we also removed the long side of the caravan, so one full wall, and we replaced that with a door that opens up the way. So our intention was always to have a sort of flexible model where we could do internal shows but also external. And last year was the first time that we got to play with that. So moving forwards, we're thinking about design concepts where the audience can be outside and we can build. We're thinking that the next show will be a shadow-based show, a puppet show, which we'd felt really restricted by in the past because of the seasonal nature of outdoor art, particularly in Scotland. And also just feeling that audiences might not be as up for potential adverse weather conditions as elsewhere. So that first show that we made in that format it's called Triptych. It's physical theatre, clown, object theatre. And we showed that for the first time and only time so far in Charleville at a puppet festival there, which was really great. And the audience responded really well and we felt really fueled to continue working in that way. So, I mean, like everybody else, we're also on a back foot in terms of what we're doing as individuals and freelance artists, and are all currently accessing different modes of funding, be that universal credit or otherwise. So this is really like a gathering time for us. We've just started talking about how to approach funding, just started to feel like we could be in quite a resilient place with our project. Starting to reach out to venues and to organisations and friends to see where we could park up and try and figure out a plan that would link funded organisations, and sort of community centres, and figure out a way that we could make it possible, basically. I could also say more, but I feel like we just open the discussion.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Emma. We have 1.5 minutes left. So we have 2 questions. So I'll start with the first question from Kath to Diane, where she was asking, are you trying to respond to the situation as things unfold, or how are you dealing with the uncertainty about what you will end up with?
Hi, Kath. Embracing uncertainty for sure. I think we're going in at the moment with Galapagos like to Creative Scotland, sustaining creative development and thinking about R&D. But in terms of your question with the app, etc., we're intending, absolutely, we're all about live performance and it's about ways to make that happen. Having an app, we're not talking about streaming, but communicating online with audience members. It's something we've done before where characters have been in touch with audience members before and after show via email. We want to improve our accessibility as a company, so we're looking at other ways to do that where performers might be in touch in different ways with audience members, and potentially developing an app which is a sort of story making app, which would probably be more about how audiences can interact with a show after performance, because for our family shows that we make, the family shows being able to promote continuing creative play in families is something we're really passionate about. So we're exploring other ways that we can do that.
Good. And I don't know whether anyone wants to take on Luke's cockroach question. What are the best ways for artists to survive? Can we make short and long-term plans? Can we act as cockroaches to survive, to reduce outgoings, to ensure we can emerge when the environment is right? I don't know whether anybody who was speaking. Alex, turn your mic on.
Yes. So yes, I think we can. I'm sure we can. I mean, I didn't mean to be pessimistic overall. I just was stating the fact that it's difficult times, but I am very optimistic that we can do exactly that. That we must persist, because first of all, I presume everybody here has a vocation to be an artist, and a vocation isn't something you can ignore. So it's very bad for us if we don't. But equally, at this time, the public need an interpretation of life through art, just as they need an interpretation of life through a number of different forms, whether it be religion or politics, or whatever it is. And the way forward, for me, as a visual artist as well as a performer, is through the visual side of things. And art, all kinds of art, can work as a visual spectacle at a distance, whether the distance is spaced in the street or spaced in the landscape. And we have to place ourselves within the landscape, emotional and physical landscape of the towns and the countryside at this. So we should be looking for ways, conversations with local authorities about how to socially distance performance outside, because everybody's willing to have that conversation at the moment.
Indeed. Jen, are we being...
I think we're probably need to go now.
Yeah. Well, thank you all very much for coming. Thank you to those who spoke. Sorry it's been quite so brief, and we shall see you back in the main room.